Marketing is about values.
Nike didn't call me and sell me this in a catalog. I bought this swoosh because it's ingrained in my soul.
When you have a product that really resonates with customers, the word of mouth grows like wildfire.
Welcome to the Marketing Max Show. Now, let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Marketing Max Show. You've got Logan and Max here yet again. If you missed us last week, we are back and we're going to kick off just like we have been for several weeks now. We're going to give you the chance to take a 5-second bet. We're going to be talking today about why sales hates marketing and marketing hates sales. We're going to do another segment in our CMO of series. But before we get to that, we're going to give you 5 seconds to hit subscribe or follow, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening in Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you subscribe to the show and by the end of this episode, you don't get value from something that Max or I say, then you can hit us up on LinkedIn or Twitter. You can unsubscribe and then you can tell us how bad this episode sucks. So we're going to count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Hopefully you took that bet and you're either subscribed and you're in for some great content, or you get the chance to, just sound off on us because the content isn't all that great. Well, like I said, we're going to kick it off with Max and I maybe venting a little bit. We were talking a little bit earlier this week about just sales and marketing challenges and some of the reasons why sales and marketing are at odds. For me in my career, I spent like 10 years in B2B sales after I graduated with a journalism degree and took a hard right turn into sales. And for those 10 years, I was mostly in kind of the SMB local regional sales environment where there was no marketing. If we had a decent website or if someone, created some sales collateral, that was marketing. And so before I kind of got into the world of B2B SaaS and those sorts of things where you've got bigger, more robust sales and marketing departments, I'm like, why are sales and marketing at odds? Like, I would just love to have a marketing team. Like, I didn't understand. Right. And so fast forward several years now, let's just say I get it because I've worn both hats. I've been agency side doing sales. I've been in sales and marketing roles in-house, and I've seen it. And the way I would typically describe it, Max, is that, sales looks at marketing and they say, hey, what you're generating isn't good enough. And marketing looks at sales and says, we're generating stuff, but you're not doing enough with it. Do you think that that's a fair assessment of kind of the way both sides tend to look at each other?
I think that's a perfect way to sum it up. And I live this every day because my wife is in enterprise sales, and it tells me at least once a week that her marketing team delivered her a lead that she got on the phone with and was completely unqualified or was not even close to in the buyer's, in the end of the buyer's journey. And she tells me all the time, I hate marketing, I hate marketing, I hate marketing, which is funny because she's married to Marketing Max. But yeah, you summed it up and nailed it perfectly. Marketing thinks that sales can't close the leads that they bring, and sales thinks that marketing delivers shit leads. That's the name of the game, and it will never, ever, 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 ever go away.
Yeah. What's been some of the ways you've been seeing this play out with some of the work that you're doing lately? What are some of the things that you've been challenged with when it comes to this tension between sales and marketing, Max?
Yeah, excuse me. Well, for example, if you've been listening to the show, you know that I'm running this new service where we generate a bunch of leads for clients. We basically run Facebook ads, sometimes LinkedIn ads, but mostly Facebook ads to your target ICP. We, instead of asking them to get on a call with you, we simply ask them to subscribe to your newsletter. And then once they sign up for the newsletter, we then push them to a type form that asks a bunch of qualifying questions. And if they're qualified, whether they're in the market to buy or not, we send that information to the sales team immediately and drop it into the CRM as a qualified lead. But if they are a qualified lead, the last question we'll ask on the type form is, are you open to a call? And if they're open to a call, we'll give them the opportunity via a Calendly link or a HubSpot booking page or whatever it is to book that call. And one of our very first clients, we generated 50 calls for them in the first 60 days. And I want to clarify this, 50 call show-ups. 50 calls.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't it like 100 plus leads, 60 booked calls, and 50 of the 60 actually showed? So
yeah,
good conversion rate, one, good show rate, two, And all right, if if I'm in sales, which I am, I sell for our agency at Business Builders. You tell me I can give you 50 at bats in, what'd you say, 30, 60 days?
60 days.
60 days. Like, sign me up for that all day long.
Yeah.
But here's where the wrinkle comes in, right?
Yeah. You remember my numbers a little bit better than me. This was for an HR software company. We had very almost identical similar numbers for a marketing agency, but 50 people showed up to a call after they said that they have enough revenue and this is a problem for them, and they're open to a call. 50 people showed up to the call and they did not close one person. And I asked them for a recording of a few sales calls, and the salesperson, bless their little heart, just had no training on sales at all, like at all. They asked the completely wrong questions, and at the very end, when they dropped the price, the person said, "Oh, that's a little bit outside of our budget," and this saleswoman said, "Hey, I'll be honest with you, the price," she didn't even use the word investment, "the price of our engagement is the painful part. Everything else is good." And when I told you this earlier this week, I think you said it even better, and that's why I asked you to be my co-host, because you're better with words than I am, at least on podcasts. But
you're a better copywriter than I am.
You said the point of a sales call is to alleviate pain, not to remind them and sell pain. Like, hey, yeah, this is painful. Like, that's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, here, you want some more pain? It is no. Here is this thing, and it is going to alleviate your pain. Now, is there pain in parting with your money? Yes, but it's
100%.
not painful because the only reason people buy stuff. This is the only reason people buy things. This sounds so elementary, but our founder at Business Builders, Jay, said this the other day. I was like, people need reminded of this. People buy things, people give you money because they think that what you are going to deliver is worth more to them than the money they are parting with. Now, if that is true in their mind, it is not painful, right? And so the sales rep is not getting them to that point. They're just saying, yeah, it's painful to part with your money. Hold on. That is not even, people say, oh, that's not an account executive. That's an account manager. That's just an order taker. I can't even say that. I don't want to insult CS and account management folks that way.
Yeah, it's utterly wild how when I spoke to the founder about this, they said, well, this person's been with us for years and their close rate has been above a 50%. And I said, well, where are they getting their leads from? And they said, all inbound, 100% inbound, mostly word of mouth, referral,
Yep.
Affiliate kind of kickback for this HR software. And I said, well, that's the issue, right? That's the issue right there is you don't have as we said earlier, a marketing and sales motion, as they call it in enterprise, right? You don't have a marketing and sales motion built to attract people when they are cold, warm them up, and then sell them when they are hot. And I think that is the biggest thing that will always plague the marketing and the sales team is, like we said, marketing hates sales because they think they can't close the leads, and sales hates marketing because they think the leads are shit. But marketing might be oftentimes pushing a sales call too early, or sales hasn't created or adapted a new talk track, a new sales deck, maybe even a new pricing, product, motion, offer,
new offer,
depending on where they are in the journey. And it's just really challenging when I gave them, to your point, 50 at bats. 50 people got on the phone and they couldn't close a single person. And we're probably going to lose out on, a year's worth of revenue with that client because they're not going to stick around because their person has been trained and is closing 100% inbound leads, which, by the way, I don't even believe that number because when I watched this video, it was so bad. But
you're like, there's some fudge factor here.
I don't mean to pick on them. I'm keeping their name silent, and I've spoken to the entrepreneur over a handful of calls. Like, they have my phone number, and just text and voice back and forth now because I want this to work for them. But the sales and marketing conundrum is such a challenge. And we're now playing around with the idea of placing setters like BDRs, SDRs to increase show up rate. Like they had an above average show up rate. Typically for all the leads we generate for clients, they have about a 50% show up rate. Theirs was 50 out of 60 leads that we generated that said they were open to a call. But typically, 50% show up rate. So we're playing around with that. We're playing around with maybe even doing drip sequences pre and post call. But the venting, as you said, this episode might be venting. It's a real challenge. And I just don't think companies understand how sophisticated your marketing needs to be when you run a sales motion, right? I don't think people understand, in order to properly get the highest ROI out of your investment possible, no matter whether you're running ads like we do for clients, whether you're posting on social and generating a bunch of leads that way. I know you're a really big fan of lead magnets. You've been talking to me a lot about lead magnets. Like, however you're driving people to the sales call, you need a drip sequence between when they sign up for the call and the day of the call to warm them up, to prime them up. Even if it's just a few sentences, even if it's a 2-minute Loom video, post call, you need another drip sequence educating them, not just here's an email with a deck, right?
Right.
You need a good talk track on.
Or even worse than that, here's an email, here's the price, really big in bold red font or something. It seems like that would be the case in this story that you shared, man.
Literally. It's crazy. And so I guess my message to everyone who maybe is not happy with their lead flow or is not seeing the ROI for their marketing dollars when you're running a sales motion that involves demo calls or sales calls or long sales cycle, short sales cycle, it doesn't matter. It's like, you have to realize that it's not just someone wakes up today with a problem, they get on they see a Facebook ad from you, they get on the phone with you, and they're ready to buy in that moment, right? People need on average 12 touch points before they even decide if they want to buy from you or not. That call is just one of the touch points. How many touch points did they have before? How many touch points do they have after? And during the call itself, what are you doing to actually make them recognize that they have a problem and then justify the ROI of the investment with you?
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I mean, I think it was in one of your newsletters, which, by the way, if you're subscribed to this podcast and you're not subscribed to Max's newsletter, go to growthdaily.com or check the link in the description, and you'll get great stories like this, where you were talking about having seen some ads for like an air purifier or, something like that. And you saw the ads, and then you were at Lowe's or Home Depot and you're like, oh, I'm getting this one right now. Is there direct attribution for those marketing touch points? Nope. You never clicked on the ad, right? But it takes more than that. Hey, here's the ad, here's the sales call, let's go. And so what I want to encourage people on is that it's not just that, we talk about marketing, and I talk with clients of our agency all the time when we're talking about their website. Like, do you have a traffic problem, or do you have a conversion problem, or do you have both? It's the same when it comes to marketing and sales alignment. Do I have a lead volume problem? Do I have a lead quality problem? Do I have a closing problem? Right? And you might have all three, but I would say just because you have a problem in one of those areas doesn't mean marketing is terrible, or doesn't mean that sales is terrible. It might be that you have a good closer who is good at closing, warm word of mouth referrals. Maybe they're really good at networking. Maybe they go to, conferences, and like, they can talk there because of that environment, and they can close those people when they get, back home, and then they hop on Zoom and they have that sales call. Maybe their close rate is 60, 70%, something ridiculous, but it doesn't mean that salesperson is good at closing those warm leads who aren't hot. Or it doesn't mean that, maybe not necessarily that they're not good at that, but they're not trained in that. You haven't kind of looked at all of your marketing and sales and optimized, to your point earlier, Max, of what does this motion look like? Okay, when people get to a sales call based on this motion, what do they need at this point? Where are they likely at? Do we need to treat this more as, a discovery call to try and get some information, to try and educate them more? And maybe our real sales process doesn't start for 2 months down the line. Right. And I kind of changed the game on how I'm approaching, those sales calls. And also, one of the things I took from a really great sales book called The Sales Acceleration Formula, Mark Roberge, who was one of the early sales leaders at HubSpot, he talked about the need to pair the sales persona with the buyer persona, right? Like sometimes there are closers who are really good at selling to, I don't know, CEOs in the manufacturing industry. You might need a different persona in a salesperson when you're selling to VPs of marketing and SaaS. Those are two different personas. They might want to be sold to differently. There might be things that work in the sales process with those different personas, and you might need to match that up as well. So I know we're kind of all over the place between like your marketing and sales motion, but there's so many nuances to this beyond the leads suck and our sales team can't close. And hopefully we're giving you maybe a few spots where if your funnel is leaky, you're like, oh, no, it's that one. Okay, I need to grab some duct tape for that hole specifically. I don't know. I mix metaphors all the time. Maybe that's not the best one.
I'm a big fan of your metaphors. I agree with everything you said. If this is event session, you know, it was a free event session because I didn't have to pay the therapist. But it is
one of us.
It is frustrating sometimes when you as a marketer, whether you're internal or at an agency, are generating a bunch of leads and they can't close. And it exists. There's tons of companies that just work, right? It just work.
Yep.
I always think a lot about like Yelp and home service businesses, right? When you need your garage door repaired, a lot easier to generate a lead that's more likely to close because that person needs garage door repair today, right? Versus HR software, are they actually in the market? How sophisticated is it to change? Right?
Right.
Is their contract up in 6 months?
Yeah. Are they in a long-term contract?
Are they in a long-term contract? All of these things factor in, and you know, could we do a better job of extra qualifying the leads? Absolutely. Should we be giving a handful of our clients more leads right now? Yes. Yes. We are not perfect by any way, shape, or form, but the marketing versus sales struggles will always continue. And I think I'm just thinking about this out loud now. One of the magic resources or one of the magic things we did at my old ad agency that focused on e-com brands was we put a media buyer with a creative person. And that was a team that would service one client. And most agencies, they just do media buying or they just do creative. And we found magic in pairing those together because the creative person could gather insights quicker from the media buyer. The media buyer sees what's in the account.
Yep.
Can share that data. We can get new creative live faster. I almost wonder if like the epitome of a perfect business development organization is pairing up a marketer with a salesperson, making them have weekly chats to review leads, making them have weekly chats to review the ads, the cold emails, the newsletter content, whatever it is. But it's a struggle, and I just don't think enough people have everything they need from a marketing perspective to properly tee up the sales team to close.
Yeah. I mean, two things that are kind of spinning in my head here is, I mean, one, if you're maybe in-house and you've hired a marketing agency or you're working with a marketing agency, maybe things are going well, maybe things, you know, could be better, maybe things aren't going well. One thing to think about is where is the connection between the work that they're doing and what your sales reps are doing, right? Unless you're completely e-commerce, that is something you should be thinking about. Whether you know you're selling home services or garage door repair or roofing, or you're selling B2B, if there's not that connection between your sellers and your marketing agency, think about that. Just kind of an open question. And for the agencies listening to this, maybe there's an opportunity for those of us who have been delivering marketing services to say, well, hey, what happens once we deliver a lead? Show me more of your sales process. And if you don't have that, hey, we partner with this sales development agency, or we have this sales development offer that bolts on to our marketing services. So two things to think about, whether you're in-house or agency side. And with that, I think we're about up on time today, Max. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this quick vent session. We didn't get into our CMO of, but I think we'll hit that one next week because you had slacked me a really good thought on the company Ridge and some ways to maybe scale that and go to market that I think would be really cool in our CMO of that we've done. If you didn't catch our last one where we were riffing on if either of us were the CMO of Sonos right now, what would we be doing? What campaigns would we be launching? Check that one out from a couple weeks ago. All right, Max, this has been fun. Everybody, thank you for watching, listening. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you want to hear the CMO of Ridge, especially if you're in ecom. But yeah, send us feedback on the vent session. Hopefully you got something out of it. Till next time.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Max show. It takes me and my team hours to produce it every single week, but it only takes you 15 seconds to hit that share button and text it to a friend, drop it in a Slack group, or share it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or any of your favorite social platforms. I appreciate you taking the time to check out my content. Have an awesome day.